Hello, I'm Reverend Rick, and it is my honor to be with you today. We really hope that this video is a blessing to you. And if it is, please consider making a donation. People watch our videos locally when they cannot necessarily come to church throughout the United States and the world. So please join us and click the link below and make a donation. Thank you, and let this be a blessing to you. We are very blessed and fortunate this morning to have Reverend Kevin Ross from Sacramento Unity with us this morning. He's affectionately called Rev Kev. We all know him as a community leader and very enthusiastic and motivational speaker, and an excellent senior minister and CEO of Unity of Sacramento. Please welcome him.
Let's stand just one more time since we're already fired up. Let's just take one of those wonderful, powerful affirmations and say with me, today is my day.
Today is my day.
I'm going to do more. I'm going to have more. I'm going to be more. Because I'm in the right place. At the right time. With the right people. To receive my good. Come on again, I'm in the right place. At the right time. With the right people. To receive my good. High five 3 people and say, let's go for it. Come on, let's go for it. Give yourself a great big hand. Come on. All right. Put my high five. That indeed we are in the right place at the right time with the right people. And this entire service, this entire experience has been dreamt of by the eternal dimension, so that something could occur in you, so that something could awaken in you that would not have happened if this unique configuration of consciousness had not appeared at this moment in time in human history. So it's your time. Come on, point to yourself and say, it's my time. Whatever you brought here today, know that it has come here as fertilizer to make you grow. Come on, tell somebody. Tell somebody nearby, it's just fertilizer. Go ahead, tell me. Give our sister Alika and the music ministry, Mignon and Reverend Rex and It is my great joy and delight to be with you today in a pulpit exchange with my sister Rev, Dr. Georgia Prescott, your beloved senior minister. There are a few people on the planet who my wife and I, Anita and I, refer to as the truth. But your minister is, come on, that's actually our nickname for her. No kidding, I mean, that's our nickname. We know who we're talking about when we say, yeah, I was with the truth yesterday. How's she doing? How's she doing? She's doing great, very good. I mean, because she embodies this message, this is her heart and soul, 20 years and counting of being the presence, anchoring it in this magnificent, diverse spiritual community of love that is continuing to expand and to extend its branches over many fences. And so we are so blessed today to have her in our spiritual community. Right now she's standing up in our pulpit, inspiring our community with the truth. So today CSA is on the road, and I am here in her absence to provide you a little bit of our love and appreciation from Unity of Sacramento. We're your kissing cousins on the other side of town, all right? Someone said it's the worst of times, it's the best of times, and it was the worst of times. And it's sort of the age of Kaepernick and the age of Kavanaugh. That we're in this interesting, polarizing dynamic, and at times we feel between these two seemingly competing values, different ways of seeing and being in life. And there are times when we have to ask ourselves, how am I going to show up in the midst of it? Have you had to ask yourself that? You know, as the world continues to reveal to us what is ours to do, we have to make the necessary shifts along the way. And those necessary shifts are often uncomfortable. Who knows what I'm talking about? We are all in the process of becoming. Let's take that in the first person. I am always in the process of becoming. And we are either in the process of becoming our greater yet to be or the worst version of ourselves. Yes? And so the question is, will I allow this process of becoming to shift me into an instrument of peace? That was the reading earlier today. I want you to be in the question with me this morning. What instrument am I becoming? Or what am I an instrument for? There's a passage of scripture from Matthew, the 5th chapter, the 9th verse. It says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called," what about it? "The children of God." And so here again, in this process of becoming, we can either be in the process of more and more becoming peacemakers or peace takers. If you're a peacemaker, give yourselves a great big hand this morning. If you're a peace taker, just look straight up here at me and just kind of hold us. If you're a peace faker, see, we got peacemakers, peace takers, and some peace fakers. And this morning, I hope that the message will allow you to decide to become peacemakers. The title of my talk is Peace in the Midst. Unleashing your strength to love, your courage to stand, and your power for good. Unleashing your strength to love, your courage to stand, and your power for, what about it? Good. Do you know that in the times we are living in, that it takes strength to love? Do you realize that? It is a weak person. It is a weak person who only loves those who loves you. Do you get that? You have not loved yet until you are capable of expanding the boundaries of your love to include those that you know don't love you. In fact, last week they unfriended you on Facebook just to let you know. And so it takes what? Come on. Strength to love. And in the process of becoming, am I becoming strong enough to hold everyone in my heart? Or am I erecting boundaries at the passageways of my heart, shutting others out? Forming myself to be a prisoner of my own so-called love. It takes courage to stand. Courage is my ability to know that the presence and the power that sent me here is capable of fighting my battles. Are you hearing me? To know that that same presence, that same power, that same love that sent you will show up. Some of us practice the omnipresence of God. That is this idea that God is everywhere equally present, that there is no spot where God is not. And some of us practice the omni-absence of God. That there is no place where God is. And if I can't do it by myself, it can't be done. Are you hearing me? And so when I'm practicing this omnipresence of God, I have courage. I have the ability to know that if I'm standing on my principles, if I'm standing on this truth, then truth crushed to the ground will rise again. Yeah. This is why hundreds of times throughout ancient texts it says, fear not. Jesus even said it to his disciples once, fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Tell somebody, I want the kingdom. Go on, tell, I want it. And so I have to make the decision as to whether or not I'm practicing the omnipresence of God, that there is no spot where God is not, or I'm practicing the omni-absence of God, and in this omni-absence, I function in fear rather than courage. It takes courage to stand. And then, your power for good. That you and I have been given power. Mastery, authority, and dominion, but most of the mastery, authority, and dominion, as we have seen of late, has been interested more in force and control and manipulation, which is a misperception of power, rather than guidance and direction and clarity. Are you with me? But you and I have mastery, authority, and dominion, which is power, not over somebody else's life. This is why women are standing up all over this country, claiming their voices in a most powerful way, declaring Me Too, not because they're victims, but because they have overcome the idea that someone should have authority over their lives, over their bodies, and over their experiences. Yes? True power is knowing when not to use it. What did I say? Come on. True power is knowing when not to use it. It's knowing when not to use it so that your mentor does not become your tormentor. Hello? God love and bless Bill Cosby. And Kavanaugh. I'm not letting him off the hook either. I'm an all-inclusive Rev. That to take one's power and misuse it shifts the good intention of those that come to us for help and support to a place of distrust. And so he was to us, had showed us that they were peace. They said that they were peacemakers, but they were peace fakers. Are you hearing me? Yes. Because the peaceful do not force, they allow. What did I say? Come on. The peaceful do not force, they allow. They allow. So then what will I use my power for? Will I allow my power to make me a force for good? Or will I allow my power to diminish myself and everything that I'm connected with? When I was growing up, my best friend in the whole world, was my grandpapa. Grandpapa was the patriarch to our entire community. And so even the grocery store butcher called him Grandpapa, who was probably twice his age at the time. But here's a man who worked every day, who lived his entire life working to provide for his family. He had 10 children. My mother is the first of those 10, and I am the first of 60, 70 grandchildren. And in his eyes was the first place that I recall being affirmed in love. And so he was my grandpa guru. He was the one that I would go and talk to late at night after I would come home from school. Late at night after I would come home from school, and we would have what we call cornbread and conversation. And some of you call me Rev Kev, but my other nickname is Cornbread Kev. I've never seen cornbread, but that's not true. There is some cornbread that I can't quite get on board with, but that's another sermon. And potato salad too, and there's a seminar on that. But nevertheless, one of those nights we're having cornbread and conversation, and I'm in the question at 14, Grandpa, what do you think I should do with my life? He says, well, son, you love to preach. You seem to have this gift of speaking. He says, you could be a good minister because a minister can be a great help to the community. Now, at 14, I was more sinister than minister at the time. Don't leave me up here by myself. I had another itinerary in mind that did not involve more church. And I was amply churched growing up. But I always remembered that, and just a few weeks ago, actually this year, from sitting with him to nearly being arrested 4 times this year, I look back on him and I'm like, well, what is this what that was supposed to be all about? What I discovered, and I believe is important for all of us to discover, is that at some point, our values have to grow up with our bodies. Our viewpoints have to grow up with our vision. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I reasoned as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became fully grown, I put away, childish things. And growing up, I was rooted in these teachings, and part of the idea of growing up was that I am one with God, I am one with all people, I am one with all life, I am one with the one. I had this idea of inclusion and oneness as a little one. I was taught that. And so my values along the way said, in what I would call the preschool version of my understanding of this value, was that I should be color blind. Who knows about that? This color blindness. And here's what I have discovered as I've moved from a preschool understanding of this to a post-grad understanding of this value. That there is some blindness that remains in you when you choose to be colorblind. There is a subconscious choice not to see the culture and the character and the life and the livingness of others. So when I say we are all one, yes, we are all one, but as I mature, I want to know what's cooking on your stove. And I want to taste some, for myself. That my color blindness grows up to be color brave. Do you get that? I don't want to be blind. I want to see you. I want to know you. I want to understand you. I want to build with you. Have you got it? This is what happens. So I want you to check in to see where you are with your values. And are you still at a preschool level with it, or are you at a post-grad level with it? And that goes for love. As I said earlier, I only love the people that love me, preschool. Right? I'll only stand up for those people that look like me, preschool. Are you hearing me? Post-grad says, I am because we are. And because we are, therefore, I am. My love knows no bounds. And the moment of truth will come. There's not just enough to sit here on Sundays and hear about it. Do you get that? Yes. In this era of Kavanaugh and Kaepernick, you will be tested. Hello? Yes. There's what we say, the lesson, then there's a testing, and then there's the blessing. Ain't get no blessing till you had your testing. How many of you like to skip out on the test? But life always qualifies the sent. If you are sent, you will be qualified for whatever position you hold in life, and you will be qualified according to what you say you believe and what you hold dear. Are you hearing me? Yes. And what I have come to discover is that the test does not arrive when you think you are prepared. And the test does not pose the questions that you have prepared for. And the test does not come at a convenient moment. In fact, it seems to come at the most inconvenient moment. Tell somebody you left and right, just get used to it. Come on, tell them, get used to it. Blessed are the tested, for they shall be the blessed. This year, as I mentioned earlier, 4 times nearly arrested. Because at some point I had blabbed off my values in meetings, in the city, with leaders. Don't leave it all on me. Reverend Georgia has done it too. All people count. Black lives matter. Oh, but if you say it, you got to show up and prove it. And there was a moment, as we all know, there have been multiple moments this year where we've seen the city erupt. And there was a call for clergy to come and keep the peace. On multiple occasions, there's been this call for clergy to come and keep the peace. Some of the clergy demonstrated where they stand in terms of their maturity with their values. Some are at a preschool level. Some are at a high school level. That is, I will sign the petition. I will make the announcement. Some at a postgraduate level say, I'm showing up. Some went right like this when the call just came back. You know what I'm saying? Is this good? Okay. So some just walk right back. And so we had this instance where the city is erupting around the shooting death of Stephon Clark. Who remembers this? And this became not only a defining moment for faith leaders, but political leaders and civic leaders and business leaders. Everybody was put to the test to see how we would stand and respond. Then shortly after that, there is this eruption at the U.S.-Mexico border. Do you remember this? We say that we are welcoming and affirming, but not y'all folks down there. There was a call for clergy. And a few of us checked in with what our values say. And see, what my values say, though I don't always want it to say this, but it's not enough for you to talk the talk. You've got to walk the walk. That's what my values say. But you know what? On a Saturday, I want to be at Chuck E. Cheese, or better said, Charles Edward Cheese, with my 3 children, rather than at a protest. I would rather be there. But there's a call for the children. Where are the children? Where are the children? We need the children. Listen to that passage again in Matthew. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. In times like these, when we're polarized and we're divided and there's so much tension, the children of God are being called forth. And so, just a few days ago, in this city, we were called again. And we're on the front lines downtown. And the night before this demonstration, unfortunately, a sheriff's deputy was killed in Rancho Cordova. And the sheriff got on television, aware that there was this demonstration of mourners commemorating the 6-month anniversary of the shooting death of Stephon Clark that brought so much pain to our city. The sheriff said on television, those of you who support the police, go down to that rally. So essentially we experienced this dog whistling, and there was this counter-protest that showed up at this demonstration. I'll take you just to the night before. The night before, it was a long night because I knew this had happened. And clergy are on the phone, and there was a call for the children of God. We need more clergy out here. There's going to be a counter-protest. And I'm on the phone calling people. We're trying to get more clergy to come. And so that morning, I had a group of ministers who were visiting from out of town for a conference that we were having, including Michael Beckwith and Jim Blake and Wendy Craig Purcell, and a lot of amazing faith leaders were there. And just before, I told them I'm going to pull away for this march, this demonstration. But because the night before was there, I drove into the meeting and I said to the clergy, there is a call for faith leaders to come and keep the peace. If any of you would be willing to do so, we could use your support. I know you're not from Sacramento. And so they stopped and they prayed. And I said, I'm going to my car. Anybody who wants to come, comes with me. And I get to my car and I see Reverend Michael Beckwith and I see Jim Blake boarding with me, and we go down to the march. Now we've got 3. We get down there to the front lines of what was undoubtedly, and what could have undoubtedly been, a very violent day. There were white supremacist protesters on one side, Black Lives Matter mourners and protesters on the other side. And a few of us clergy decided in that moment we're going to link arms. And I was linked up with Reverend Georgia. Mama was right there. And we formed this line to stand between white supremacists, Black Lives Matter, and the police were right there in front of us. And it was in that moment that everything that we said we believed was being tested. Oh, to restrain from my human reactiveness. Oh, to ensure that both parties, both sides got home safely that day. And we stood there holding vigil in the middle of the street. And as I looked to my left and to my right, most of the clergy there were from the New Thought movement. And I said yes. That though it seems like that we are living in times that it is getting as ugly as it possibly could, that's just the pus coming out of the wound for the healing. Did you hear what I said? That's all it is. You know, if an infection has to be healed, we got to lance the ugly stuff. It's got to come out so that the healing can occur. And we stood in that place with people who looked like us, who didn't look like us. And we redefined what Sacramento is all about. When we say we are committed to co-creating a world of peace, prosperity, and unconditional love for all. When we say we're committed to individuals awakening to their divine nature, people don't need a sermon, they need an example. Come on, talk to me. I felt good that day that we all left there safely. People were able to exercise their rights. People were able to demonstrate. Law enforcement, clergy, activist community. In fact, Alika was there, and she was on one arm on the front lines. Jesus said the harvest is plentiful. The laborers are few. So, on 4 occasions, I volunteered to be a laborer for peace, for justice, and for a world that works for all. I didn't know when Grandpapa was saying to me, you can be a good help to your community, son, that I may be volunteering to be arrested, because I believe that families belong together. And I believe that prisons are no place for babies in our lifetime. Ever, ever, ever. I'm willing to be arrested for that. And so as our values grow up, we grow up with it. We say that we are to know our values. Everybody say, we know our values? Know our values. Voice your values. Voice your values. Vote your values. Vote your values. Embody your values. Risk it all for your values. This is what it's about. We're standing on the shoulders of those who risk it all so that we can sit in this august body having the luxury of deciding whether or not we're going to do likewise. Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays, the mentor to Martin Luther King Jr., said, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything and die for nothing. So what's it going to be about for you, for me, for us? Will we let ourselves become a part of the growing club of cynics? Or will we brave the uncharted territory of those who are positive, tough-minded optimists, who are mustering up the ovarian audacity and the testicular fortitude to make real change in our lifetime? I pray that each one of us chooses to be an instrument of peace and a force for good in the world. And so it is written, and so I've spoken it, and so you have heard it, and so it is. Amen. Thank you.